Hi, everyone. So today we're going to talk a little bit about theme. You just took a theme check for part-time Indian, and we had some pretty considerable errors, and they were consistent across the board. So we felt the need to touch base with you about what theme is and how to write a theme. So the first thing is that theme is a universal statement which expresses the meaning or the lesson from the passage. So it's not going to include the names of the people in the story or the places in the story. Instead, it's going to be something that can relate to me, it can relate to you, to your parents, your grandparents, your brother, your sister, your cousin, your nephew, everybody. Also, your theme must be written in a complete sentence. That means it starts with a capital, it ends with a punctuation, and it is a complete thought. Theme must have a because statement or answer the question why to be well developed. Otherwise, it's underdeveloped. And as 11th graders, yours should be very developed. And theme should not be cliche, like be kind to one another. It needs to be deeper than that. We need to take it to the next level. And how to write the theme. So what do we do? What are the steps? So first you have to determine what the theme seed is in the passage. What do you see? So what was it mostly about? Was it about family, love, friendship, identity? What did you see in this passage? Next, so let's take family, for example. Ask yourself, what about family did I learn? So example, family is important during hard times. Maybe that's what you learned, okay? Then you're going to make sure that you write it in a complete sentence. Make sure that you are not using the names of the people in the book. So family is important during hard times. That's good. It's a complete sentence, got a capital at the beginning, punctuation at the end. I'm not using any people's names. Now I have to look at that sentence and add the because or answer the question why at the end. So, okay, so what? So what? Family is important during hard times. Why is family important during hard times? Well, family is important during hard times because one needs people who can be trusted to help when one is suffering. Okay, so that's why. Because I might need somebody to help me if I'm struggling. And family is usually somebody who's trusted, so this is a better way to develop this theme. Now, you want to make sure that the quote that you select to support your theme is an important quote that has meaning. A quote that says something like, I like him, Reardon is good, right? These are not deep quotes. These are not important, meaningful quotes. These are like, I shut my eyes and I pick something out of the book. Do not do that. You need something that has impact and meaning. Look for these meaningful quotes as you read. And when you see something that stands out, something that's profound, highlight it so that you can go back to it later. These are the quotes that you want. You don't just want these simple little one-liners that don't have a whole lot of meaning. Always make sure that you understand what is going on in the book. Some of you put down quotes and then explain them, and it wasn't what happened in the book. Guys, if you didn't read, then this is going to be extremely difficult for you. You must make sure you know what's going on in the book. For example, somebody put that Rowdy and his mom wear war paint, and that the reason they wear war paint is because they're like tried and true Native Americans, and that's what they do, and they love their culture. That is not what was happening in the book, right? The war paint was referring to the bruises that Rowdy and his mom got because the father beat them when he was in a drunken state. So that negates everything that you write when you put something that is completely off base that did not happen in the book. So you need to make sure that whatever you're picking is something that you understand. It's a section that you understand. You're not just picking random stuff. You want to write about things that really happened and that were really meaningful and that stood out to you. This isn't a time for you to express and analyze what you are thinking. So let's look at some examples and non-examples. Here are some things that we came across. So the theme seed could have been home, right? The quote that was selected was, his father is drinking hard and throwing hard punches, so Rowdy and his mother are always walking around with bruised and bloody faces. Notice this MLA format, right? No period here. We ended the quote here. The period goes at the end. We have the author's last name and page number. This is what MLA format should look like every single time. So here's a non-example. This is what the person put for the theme. You never know what's going on in someone's home. Okay, true, right? But is it really the deep lesson that we learned? No. First of all, we don't want to use you in our theme because we know that when you're writing your analytical papers, you can't use personal pronouns. So go ahead and let's get rid of the word you. This is also not really telling us a lesson. So What is it that we don't know that's happening in this? Like, so what that we don't know what's happening in their home? Add to it. What about their home life did you learn from this passage, right? Talk about that. So how about showing kindness and empathy is important because people have a variety of home lives and one never knows what else they are dealing with. Well, this is better because it tells me what I should be doing and why I should be doing it. The quote selected demonstrates what's happening at Rowdy's home and the reason someone should show him some empathy. It also produces a reason for his actions in school. So if you were writing a paper about this, you would continue to talk about how Rowdy acts at school and how Junior and his family are showing him some compassion. So let's talk about another example, customs. So the quote that this person selected was, "Your songs and stories and language and dancing, everything. We weren't trying to kill Indian people. We were trying to kill Indian culture." So a non-example of a theme is, the customs and traditions are slowly being taken out of people. I don't really know what that means, right? So you need to explain why this is a problem, or how is it affecting someone, or why should someone care about this happening? Also, what people are we talking about here? Is it important to the statement, or can this be universal? So here's a better theme. Customs and traditions are what creates an identity for a group of people. And when one attempts to take these away, it not only destroys the group or culture, but also takes away one's identity. This is much better because this theme tells the reader why customs and traditions are important and what happens when they're taken away. It can apply to the Native Americans, but it could also apply to any other culture that has been assimilated into another. It answers the question, why does this matter that customs and traditions are being taken away? Do you see the difference between these themes? Do you see what we're adding to them to build them up and develop them? Let's look at another one, education. So, All right, so some of the quotes. The kids at Reardon are the smartest and most athletic kids anywhere. Or, I want to transfer schools, I said. I don't know as though that one's super great. The theme, though, that was selected here was, Reardon is not a good school. Well, first of all, Reardon is the best school in the area. So the theme itself is actually not accurate. This is not what happened in the book. Reardon is actually the better school, and it's the res school that's not a good school, which is why he wants to leave. So aside from the fact that that's inaccurate, you also can't use the names from the book. So using Reardon is not universal because none of us go to Reardon, right? So Reardon means nothing to anybody else. So instead, what we want to do is focus on education. So education is important to one's future, so sometimes difficult decisions and sacrifices must be made to ensure the best education and a better future. This explains the reason for education and the idea that everyone is not given the best education, but sometimes hard decisions and sacrifices must be made. This will lead to a really good discussion about the sacrifices and difficult decisions Junior made when he chose to go to Reardon, right? A better quote in this part would have been something about how he felt he was betraying his tribe, or he was betraying the people on the reservation. He's talking about that betrayal and how difficult this decision was and how he was afraid he was going to lose his friends because of it. So he sacrificed those things for a better education to help himself get out of the situation he was in. That's what you would focus on here. Let's look at another one. How about poverty? So the quote is, I am really just a poor-ass reservation kid living in a poor-ass family on a poor-ass Spokane Indian reservation. That's what the book says. So the non-example of theme is, many people struggle during poverty. Well, yeah, of course they do, right? Isn't that part of the definition of poverty? So we need to write about a theme about poverty, which explains something about it and why that struggle is important. So how about, poverty affects many aspects of a person's life, including education, nutrition, shelter, and identity. So a person struggling with poverty has many obstacles to overcome and a bigger burden to carry for his or her future. Now, this lets me know how poverty affects a person. It tells me specifically what they're struggling with and why. It also lets me know why it matters. Like, because people in this situation are going to have to work harder to get where they want to be. They have this big burden that they're carrying around, and this could easily be discussed with this book because Junior makes so many big decisions to help himself move up in the world, and his sister does as well. So you could really develop this theme, and you could write about it from two different perspectives for sure. Identity. Let's talk about this one. You can't give up. You won't give up. You threw that book in my face because somewhere inside you, you refuse to give up. So this is what Mr. P says to Junior. So the theme that this person came up with was Junior does not have that much confidence, never really believes in himself. Okay, so this is just a statement. This isn't a theme. This isn't a lesson learned. This has a person's name in it from the book. It's just a statement about Junior. So you shouldn't cite people or events from the story in your theme. It doesn't make it universal. It only makes it applicable to this story. Also, this statement is lacking the why or because to develop it into a good theme. So instead, let's try this. When one lacks self-confidence in his or her identity, it's easy to give up. However, this can change when others believe in the person. Now, this theme is talking about any person who's lacking self-confidence and what it could do to them. Then it goes on to say how those worthless feelings can change when someone believes in them, right? This was a little bit of a turning point for Junior. When Mr. P said this to him, he realized that he has a fighting spirit. Even though he has all these disabilities and other things that are holding him back, he has this fighting spirit and he can move forward and do good things. And this is what kind of helps him make that decision to go to Reardon. Finally, let's talk about hopes, dreams, and plans. So the quote, for writing books, people would have thought she was a hero for that. Okay. Not the best quote, actually, for hope, dreams, and plans. There were so many more here that we could have used. The theme the person chose was plans for the future develop based on dreams and goals. That's usually what plans develop from, right? We need to talk about why, how, what happens if things fall through. This needs to have a lot more development to it. So how about everyone has dreams and makes plans for their future, but if those dreams are not nurtured and encouraged, they die. Oh, now I can tie this back to the sister, right? I can tie this back to her because she wanted to be that author. She wanted to write things and go big. So I could definitely talk about that now if this was what I wanted to focus on. So now we know that everyone has dreams. We've added this to let the reader know that if dreams are not cared for and nurtured, that they might actually never happen. And we could even go a little bit further and talk about how that might affect the person themselves. So what you're going to do now is you're going to go back to your part-time Indian first theme quiz number 1. You are going to open up your document. You are going to look at the notes that we put on your document. You are going to select one of your themes and you're going to redo it. You're going to redo it on this Edpuzzle. So you're going to put the old answer, you're going to put your new answer so that we can see how you have learned to develop your themes and make them universal and complete sentences, thoughtful, etc. Okay? So I hope that this helped. I hope that this gave you a good push forward as far as theme is concerned.